The Woman in Cabin 10 hit Netflix a few days ago, and when it caught my attention, I thought to myself, here's another mid-budget movie produced by a streamer in the hopes of simply retaining subscribers. But I'll be honest and tell you guys that I was hoping that Keira Knightley starring meant that it might be better than the other very similar movies by various streamers that have been released this month alone. Now, the film starts off well enough, making use of its intriguing premise, a premise that gives way to a worthwhile mystery, all things considered. And as that mystery begins to affect the lead character, effectively hastening her unraveling with the help of a well-placed traumatic event from her past that casts just enough doubt in not only the minds of the people around her, but in her own mind as well. Yet, she persists. The small writing I thought was fine, and the acting really good, actually, thanks to a well-chosen cast. I found the directing to be serviceable, especially given that nearly the entirety of the film takes place on a boat. A big, beautiful boat, but a boat nonetheless. My point is, cameras have to fit into some tight paces here, and so, the directing I thought was pretty good, given the constraints. But as the plot moves forward, the logistics of the story falling into place fine enough, the stakes getting higher, even as the main character eventually puts her own safety at risk in a desperate effort to make up for past transgressions, the actions of the character start to make less and less sense. And on top of that, the writing choice to give away the game with nearly 40 minutes of the film left to go, I thought was not only quite the ridiculous plot point, but also a pretty big narrative mistake, one that made watching the final act of the film sort of moot, seeing as how these films rarely end in a way that is unexpected. Now, overall, I'd give this film a 70%, or a 7.0 out of 10 if you're thinking IMDb score, a C for a letter grade. This film reminded me a lot of The Girl on the Train, so much so that I had to go and make sure that the books weren't written by the same person. This film is also another film in what is starting to become a long line of streaming fodder released this month. And if you're judging by the other films of this nature released as of late, this film is good by comparison. But for a film that started off with such promise, this film ended up being quite the disappointment.